Hello, welcome back, Showboys. Yes, the new intro
Just
feature,
pop
pretty nice.
day.
Yeah, we're testing out a new feature here in StreamYard, and it worked well, and I love it. And we won't have any more mishaps like we did last week. But yes, my name is Mike, and with me, as always, my good friend, co-creator of Showboys, Nick. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty tired.
Yeah,
It's the oldest fifth birthday today. So
nice. Happy
action
birthday.
packed day, and I even took half a day off work, and it was still just exhausting by the time you get to like 8 p.m. and it's just like, yeah, I'm glad that's over. But it was a good time. Good time.
That's good. That's good.
How are you?
I'm doing well. I actually had like the opposite day as you. My whole family basically was gone all day, the
Heck yeah.
exception of like a couple hours. So did some work, did some music stuff, ate some dinner, took a shower.
All by yourself?
Yeah,
Holy moly,
I
that's
know
living the dream, man.
it was crazy. But we're here and we're going to talk about Andor season 1, chapter 3, episodes 7, 8, and 9. And I'm excited. Great, great trio of episodes. And each week, as I progress, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday when I watch these episodes,
Same.
it's just like every episode, I'm like, this is peak Star Wars.
So good.
Like I don't think I can be convinced otherwise. This is the best Star Wars.
I mean, I think the hard thing is that I think the problem that Star Wars falls into, because it's just so big of a thing, that it's kind of like it's just one of those IPs where it gets ranked above and beyond like everything else, like it's in its own little ecosystem of rankings. So it's easy to get lost in like, this is good Star Wars, this is bad Star Wars, but this is like just good TV. Like, I used to enjoy it like as if I'm watching just like any other, whatever this genre of it. If this wasn't Star Wars, I don't know exactly what it would be. Kind of
like a thriller, maybe political thriller.
political heist thriller drama
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, whatever you would categorize this as, if it wasn't Star Wars, it's just really good at that. And that's a good
Yeah.
point. That's a trick with Star Wars, is especially with these like newer shows that they pay a lot of attention to. They really shoehorn a lot of different genres into a single thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
I can't really. I need to find an equivalent. Like, what is this if it wasn't Star Wars? What is it most
Hmm.
like?
It's a good question. I wonder. I'll have to I don't know. Maybe one of our viewers will be able to tell us. That's something that definitely would have to think about. Because you're right, they do. I think since we started
Sci-fi
getting
thriller.
Disney Plus series, they've just kind of been like a buffet of different genres.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It works, and this one is the best. But yeah, man, where do you want to start with 3 episodes? Some meta stuff to talk about, but I don't know where do you want to begin?
Meta stuff. I mean, really, I think, the way I want to kind of go about this, and we did this last week, is, by episode, of course, but focusing on the characters, because especially these 3 episodes, you really, apart from the first 6 episodes, right? I really feel like these 3 episodes is a big tonal shift in the season, especially the fact that we don't really get. Um, this is really like a 6 episode arc, in my opinion. Like, this is really all a lot of repositioning after the first 6 episodes,
Mm-hmm.
building up toward the next 3 episodes where stuff really gets spicy. So, I mean, even the nature of these 3 episodes, you have to really only talk about characters, because all these episodes really are dialogue with characters moving about in different environments. And I guess that's any show you watch, but very much
Yeah, good
every
job
episode.
describing TV.
Yeah, very much these episodes, it is all about the dialogue, and everyone you're really kinda hanging on, like, okay, all this stuff has happened with these characters. How are now these characters going to re-interact in different ways? Because you have
Mhm.
Vel, Mon Mothma, right? Because we've met Mon, we've met Vel, but they're completely separated. We get to learn new things about them. We get to see that they are actually related.
Yeah.
Vel is like done a 180, right? Even Mon's like to pretend to be a spoiled rich girl for like a little bit because you can't be being all badass rebel heisting off in the galaxy.
Yeah. So, do you think Vel convinced Mon to join, or
Mm,
do you think Vel hearing like work stories from Mon was like, you know what, Empire actually does kind of suck.
yeah, Vel definitely has the like younger cousin vibe to her.
Hmm.
And I almost want to say, I mean, maybe they both have just like the same way Tay and Mon have like the same ideological agenda, right? They're
Hmm.
anti-empire, and they just kind of met in their journey of becoming rebels. Maybe that's what happened to Vel and Mon. You know what I mean? Where it's like
Hmm.
just one time they had that conversation on the patio, and it's like they look at each other. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What?
You know what? I'm
Um,
gonna start embezzling money to fund the
yeah, I
rebellion.
mean, yeah, I mean, I guess I could see like, I guess if I had to pick, I would say maybe Vel got
Influenced Mon.
influenced by Mon because Mon, we
Mm.
at least we know Mon has been um, a long time anti-fascist imperial Palpatine person.
Yeah.
So maybe some work stories of like, oh, you're always speaking out against them, and like Vel's just like, you know what? Instead of just talking out against these fools, I'm gonna go get dirty. I'm gonna go rob me a bank. Um, I don't know. Good
Yeah.
question. Yeah.
I guess maybe we have what 12 episodes to find out before Andor is over forever.
Oh yeah. Well, it's not over till it's over, and we already have the over movie.
I
So
know. That's what I was thinking about this the other day. Not that it's like, and I kind of have a similar feeling when I'm doing series on the biblical shows that we've done, like The Chosen and House of David most recently. Like, we know how the story
yeah.
goes and how it ends. And with Andor, of course, we know how the story ends. Uh, so it's like trying to find a different angle for
Hmm.
for these podcast episodes. It's very different than, say, like the Severance series, where Jeff and I just like every episode are like, here's 50 crazy theories that we think are going on.
Right. And maybe that's like a huge like key factor when these larger than life IPs come into existence, right? Is like,
Mhm.
are we enjoying this because we don't know where it's going versus we enjoy this because we want to see how it got there, right? So it's like
Yeah.
Star Wars is on a biblical level, like the Bible, where it's like, yeah, you know what happens, but you really want to see like how
Yeah.
it all got there. Same
Yeah.
thing with like Dune, and the same thing with Lord of the Rings. Like, not
Yeah.
not a ton of spoilers where it's like, yeah, Sauron kind of gets defeated at the end, but the journey there, like that's
What the heck,
what
dude?
the guys lose. Yeah. So I mean, that's maybe worth a discussion too. It's like,
Yeah.
what are the required characteristics of these larger than everything else IPs?
Yeah, it does, it makes it fun in a like a whole different aspect of us doing this, because instead of focusing our energy and conversation on like figuring out what's going to happen, we get to like unpack the like
Yeah.
bigger meanings, or like really dive into the characters and their motives and stuff, because like we already know where it's going, but like why is it going there?
And you gotta imagine from like a showrunner and like writer director perspective too. Like you almost have to put on a completely different like hat, right? So like if you are sitting down and writing, a show like Severance, you're approaching the show in an entirely different way because there, no one knows what's going on and like where it ends versus you sit down and write a Star Wars show. It's like, well, we have to, we get to tell stories kind of within this known outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think it lets us have these conversations, these awesome dialogue scenes, especially with like Mon and Luthen, where it's like they're really talking very abstractly and really kind of like not a lot of context. So imagine like if you didn't know where like this story goes at all. What are they even talking about? Like why
Right.
that's just they're just like wishy-washy like conversations that don't
Yeah.
nothing gets said.
Yeah.
But a lot
Saying a
gets,
lot, but like also nothing at the same time.
yeah. Interesting creative process, right? Between
Yeah.
these two different types of
Man, and
story.
we're getting closer to like the greatest piece of dialogue
Oh
ever delivered.
yeah, especially in Star Wars. Yeah, I don't know. I think I guess it's I don't know. Like I just don't know how they sit down. They're like, we are going to make this show and it's going to be this awesome versus like when they're like, they sit down and we're like, we're going to make this show and it's just going to be like, yeah, whatever. Um,
Yeah. I mean, Star Wars hasn't ever done that, right?
well, it has. It's just like, I don't know how we sit at two ends of the spectrum there.
I think you
But
just nailed it.
beside the
Spectrum.
point. Anyway, episode 7, the announcement.
Yes.
So the fun, we link up with Cassian, and like this is also fun. I don't know why I just forget like the details of shows. I guess I'm doing the same thing with The Wire right now. Like I know what happens in The Wire, but every episode is just so good because I'm like, oh yeah, that's how that happens. So yeah, Cassian comes back to Ferrex. He's got his pocket full of cash, and he's gonna try to convince his adopted mother to like, let's split, let's just get out of Dodge. But she's aging quick, and she's got this
She's Asian. I'm just
aging
kidding.
quick.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, she's Asian quick. But she's she's revealing this side of her that probably has always been there. But Cassian just doesn't expect because he's just, his character is just screw all this other stuff. Like let's just try to escape it. Like let's get away
Mhm.
from all this nonsense. And I guess for the first time, maybe he's just kind of ignorant to like everyone else's perspective on things. He's just like, guys, we just all need to get out of here. But he goes back to Ferrex
Yeah.
with a pocket full of cash, and his mom's like, dog, I'd rather just stick here and fight it out. Like, I ain't moving into a retirement home with you. Like, this is my house. I live here. They're gonna have to drag my dead body out of it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then and he goes to Bix, and Bix is super cold to him and just like, yeah, you kind of really messed up the vibe around here. I love you. You're awesome and all. We're still friends, but I really can't have you around because you kind of made the
Yeah.
Empire like supplant themselves here or plant themselves here.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of Tim's fault. Let's be honest.
Yeah, right. How do you where do you want to pin that blame? But we can't really be mad at him because he's dead. So someone
That's
not dead has to be at fault here.
That's true. I love Marv though,
Yes.
because I mean, she is like, yeah, I'm kind of a little too old to just be hopping around the galaxy, but also she's like bought in to the rebellion. Like she's like, yeah, and we get a little bit of the backstory on what happened to Clem, her husband, right? Cassian's pops. He was violently slain by the Empire, hung in the town square, and she said something along the lines of like, after what happened, like I was finally able to like walk through that part of town.
Yeah, because up until all this, like she would avoid that part of town because she just she couldn't deal with it. But now
Mm,
that this has happened, it really kind of just ripped the band-aid off. And now she's like pointedly angry
yeah,
at the Empire. And again, not like Cassian trying to escape and avoid what's happening. She's like ready to just say, well,
yeah,
if they're going to put their boot down, I'm putting my, my boots are already down. This is
yeah.
Ferrex.
She's ready to stick it to the man. Love it.
Yeah. So, yeah. And this is just like a really subtle, but kind of shows you how sprawling, like, people are just kind of ready. Like, they're not, they don't want to run. There's nowhere to run. And her point, like, she's old. Like, she's not, she even says, like, I'm not running anymore.
Yeah.
And she's like, there's a fight coming and I'm here for it. And I get it. Like, what's running gonna do? Buy her like a few crappy on the run years of life where she's like, yeah, I'd rather
All
just
right.
go out in the
Just
town square.
just living on a spaceship. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, we can't even get like the elderly on Earth to like move into like retirement homes. Like, how are you going to convince one to be like, yeah, let's just like pack your bags and jump on a spaceship? That can't be any more pleasant. Just bury me here in the dirt. I don't want to become space junk.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, he talks with Bix, like I said, and that doesn't go well either. She's just like, you're a trouble magnet, and you cause a lot of problems around here. I do like the whole thing. Like, I get apparently an Andor always pays his debts, and he's
Oh
like,
yeah.
here's some money, literally to just pay everyone off, Bix. If you could handle that for me, here's a bunch of money, covers everyone's
Yeah.
debt.
Yeah,
I've
just
cleared my name.
slaps 12,000 credits down. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think about that, and he's acting like his 200K is like a lot, but I don't think it's that much. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
it's not buying him as much as he's like shopping the dream here. I'm like, like,
Yeah,
guess
but
for
hey,
this, yeah,
pretty respectable though. I mean,
no, for sure.
pay off your debts first.
He ain't no sleazebag. I
Yeah.
mean, he ain't no rat either. Tim, um, he's got a code.
For some reason my mind went to Bim.
Yeah, Bim,
That Tim.
he's a rat.
He's a little rat. Speaking of, very off the chart side note here. You know he works in government now. Can you
He
believe that
left.
guy?
He left the land services
No, he still
industry.
does that too.
Oh, of
But
course he does. Yeah, yeah.
can you believe this guy?
He's working for the government,
Yeah.
like
What the
Doge.
heck? He's
He's one
and
of these
he lost like
22-year-olds. Well, he lied on his resume. He's like, I'm 22. I want to work for Doge and clear the government up.
he also lost like a
Yeah,
grown human in weight.
yeah.
Very proud of you, Tim.
He
What a
lost
guy.
like a whole you probably.
Well, I mean, I would like to be the amount of weight that he lost. Let's just say I need to lose a little bit.
I want to be the weight that you lost.
Yeah.
Like, damn.
Yeah, you know.
That's exciting.
Feel,
Wow.
a little chubby. Anyways,
Go Bim.
yeah. So are we going
Going Mon.
like okay, per episode, characters per episode, and then go
Yep.
episode to episode. Okay, cool.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about Mon because Mon rolls down, and this is like basically just right off the heels of the robbery, and she goes down and visits Luthen, and I think this is I love her character so much, and it's like scene to scene, depending on who she's interacting with, like she puts on the front, right?
Mhm.
But it's like, what is the real front? What's the real Mon? And I think
Yeah.
even she struggles with it scene to scene, and she's figuring it out scene to scene.
Yeah.
Because very much this first scene, this first interaction we get with her in this after the heist, is we have a Mon that's very, very reality struck, where she's like, "Holy crap!" They like, I was just most likely, very likely, involved and funded a thing that is literally the news across the galaxy, and
Yeah.
very upsetting to like the people we hate very much, which is great. But at the same time, she's like, she's got, she's a little nerve struck, like it's a little shaky.
Mhm.
She's like, and she knows her, and we find out a little later, right? Her even Luthen struggles with this too. They're not covering their tracks like perfectly, and they admit this and they know this. And even Luthen with his, helper assistant, kind of who's the boss, I guess. I don't know. They're a good,
Right.
interesting duo, but like, they have good conversation about like eventually, you can't do everything perfectly. You're going to have some levels of risk doing this stuff. You can't perfectly cover your tracks. And Mon has that same issue on the money side, because
Mhm.
later with Tay, he's just more like, I can only do so much. Really, you're
Right.
just waiting for the audit to happen,
Yeah.
and
And
they're
then
gonna,
even later, he's like, and if they do audit, like, you're screwed.
yeah,
Like, the only reason that you haven't been is because they haven't looked.
yeah. And he's like, everything else, I can work with that, but this 400,000, not a good look because it just like vanishes. And that's
Yeah.
approximately how much it would cost to pull off a heist. Just kidding. With 7 people. But anyway, she has this reality check where she's like, yeah, I was just really involved in something very real, and also
Yeah.
probably the largest infringement on imperial authority to date in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Um,
I love Luthen's response, though, because he's like, what did you think we were going to do?
right. Like, what do you
like,
think's going
like,
on?
do you realize what you're funding?
Right. It's just almost like, yeah, it's at that point where it's like we're not just playing like dress up here. Like, we're for real. Like, this is going
Yeah.
down. And I feel like he even uses his whole second personality to like rob the shit out of that. Like, yeah, we're doing it. Like, we're in it now. Because
Yeah.
it's cool because they have most of that conversation under the guise of like
Mhm.
him showing her new things.
Right. I love that he has to, like, he's saying all this like crazy stuff, like, and from the outside he's just being his all animated, like, cheery self. And he's
Right.
just like laying into her.
Her back's turned and like only he
Yeah.
can see her face, and her face is just like,
Yeah. I love it. Love Grandma Luthen, dude.
yeah, Grandma Luthen's ruthless. But I mean, and this is where we have a lot of overlap where we meet Saw, in the next episode, but we have this
My
spectrum
man.
of like the Saw types, Luthens, the Mons, right? And obviously, I think Mon and Saw are kind of like the ends, and Luthen's kind of like the dirt in the middle,
Mhm.
because she's unapologetically a politician. Saw's unapologetically a
A
terrorist.
terrorist?
Um,
Dude, Saul
so
is still my favorite character. Like,
oh yeah, and,
I just love
and
that guy.
she has this thing where she's like, "You acted without me. I'm exposed here." He's like, "Yeah, we're all exposed, gal." And I'm not gonna sit here and be like, "Here's the plan," right?
Mhm.
And her his thing is like, we need, and she's like, "This people are gonna suffer from this." He's like, "Exactly,
Yeah, that is the plan.
that is the plan. We aren't here to make things better first because we just can't. So we gotta make things very painful."
Yeah,
Um,
I like it though. He's playing this 4D chess where he's like, I mean, yeah, it's great to like put a little scratch in the paint of the empire, but that's really all that is. But like, what we really have to do is push the public over the edge, right? Make it to where they have no choice but to rebel because of the oppression, right? Which is really messed up, but
yeah,
also like it's kind of true. And like, you can kind of see it in your own life in different areas where you're like sometimes you're just whatever that saying is, like the frog in the water that keeps slowly getting hotter, and
oh yeah,
by the time you realize it, you're cooked, right?
yeah.
And so he's just speeding up the process, turning up the burner
Yeah,
exponentially.
just gonna add a little gas to the fire, or
Yeah.
yeah, and I saw a funny meme today, or someone shared a post basically how like the Switch 2 might get delayed in the USA because of the tariffs, and someone
Yeah.
was like, "This literally might push everyone over the edge." It's like, that's so funny. Like, that's That's
That's
it.
the straw that
That's the
broke the
straw. Go
camel's
with
back.
all this. Switch
How
2 delayed
dare you?
a week after it was announced.
Yeah,
No,
everyone's gonna
we're
turn
all
into Greta.
radicalized. Tossing Pokemon left and right, battling politicians,
Right.
all the fun stuff. But yeah, so like very awesome scene where we get a scared Mon faced with reality, and we get a very excited Luthen where he's like, "Yeah, if it's happening, let's roll." So that was cool. But in the same episode, we get this counter viewpoint from Mon's multiple personalities because she's at the party where they're
Mhm.
entertaining, all the other politicians, donors, all that usual stuff. And
Yeah.
they even drop some lines at the beginning where it's like, "Oh, Mon, you're so nice when you're trying to get votes or trying to get funding," or
Yeah.
and it's like everyone knows she puts on this politician front because that's her job. But like
She's good at it.
there's she's a very layered onion here that like people aren't really aware of.
Mhm.
So she has this conversation with Tay, who we meet, old friend from
Old friend?
their
Whatever
home
their
world.
planet's called, it's kind of weird name.
It's got a cool name though. It's kind of like a
It's like
fancier Alderaan.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like Chandrila or something like that. Like it's a play on that concept of a name.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like they are or were more than friends. So like you
Mhm.
said last time, they are an arranged marriage. I don't know if you said that last time or
No, I
that's
said
it to me.
that on Discord. Yeah, we were chatting. Yeah, so that was not like directly said, but said in every other way, like except for the direct way. I was like, oh, that makes so
They had
much
the conversation
more
with
sense.
that one couple where it's like, "Oh yeah, we got married at 13." They're like, "Oh wow, that's very romantic," and they're
Oh
like,
yeah,
"Not really. Just kind of traditional."
yeah, not really. We actually both hate each other's guts.
Yeah. So we have this Tay, who's a banker, who is adjacent to the political spectrum, obviously, but he's a banker.
Mhm.
And he's got deep ties in that realm. So she's obviously a terrorist funding unit, rebel funding unit. Don't want to offend the old school Star Wars fans by calling rebels terrorists because they
Yeah.
are the good guys.
It all depends on what side of the story you're on, you
Nope,
know.
Michael. Nope. Star Wars is just clearly good and evil. There is no gray. You upset
Except
the
for
Jordans of the
Jedi's.
world.
The only gray in Star Wars that exists is in Jedi's, right?
So triggering. You're making so many people upset. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if they were like if they got married at 13, like, was he a pre-13 like friend? Or like,
Tay.
yeah, Tay, or is
Yeah, I
like
think
post being married, like she was just like, yeah, I'm
no,
still not ready to settle down.
no, it I forget who said it, but someone like makes a jab of like, "Oh, pretty friendly" or something, and she's like, "Oh, it was an elementary like."
Right.
So she, yeah, I would assume it was.
Elementary crush.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never. And she's like, I'm already promised. You're like, how's that conversation go for like a 10-year-old? It's like, I love you, but I'm
I've
already
been
promised to
betrothed.
another. I'm
Yes.
betrothed. Maybe in another life, like the very Romeo Juliet for like 13-year-olds or something, however old you are,
Right.
at that stage. But anyway, yeah, she's like, yeah, my stuff's kind of froze up. But anyways, before all that, they have this very fun conversation where it starts off when she starts kind of trying to get to the point and like kind of feel the waters there with like, where's Tay at, like, ideologically? And he's like, you might not like my politics on things. You'd be surprised how far like some might go, or something like that. She's like,
Yeah.
oh, she like doesn't say anything. He's like, that's interesting. Walk with me.
Yeah.
And like,
Smile. She keeps telling him like,
yeah, because by the
like,
end of this conversation, she's like basically flips the line on him.
mhm.
She's like, I think I'm a little deeper into this.
Yeah.
and asks him basically like, I'll just put up another charity thing, and people will think it's just silly old me being charity funding, but I need my accounts like freed up, and need to move some liquid around. My man Tay, can you help me out? So I just like that, because in that, it was just a very wonderful like scene, because we're just moving through this party, and we're getting glances from her husband, so there's the whole
Mhm.
like getting really close to Tay again. Maybe he's a little jealous there.
Yeah.
Maybe
Which
he's
is,
suspicious also.
yeah, the jealousy angle is so dumb because he very clearly hates her.
Yeah, I think it is more of like, not right. It comes off as jealousy, but even she tells Tay like, "Shh," like he doesn't know, can't
He
trust
can't
him.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and even Tay's face is like, we can't trust your husband. She's like, damn right we are. We're in the thick of it here. Even my daughter, don't
Yeah.
trust her. She's a rat.
Yeah. She's
She would
also a
email
turd.
the Palpatine tomorrow if she found
Yeah.
out I was a
Ah,
rebel.
dude. Yeah. They're terrible. They're a terrible family.
Yeah, you don't like her.
I don't like either of them.
But yeah, that was that was my favorite conversation from there, is all
It's
the
a good
Mon
one.
stuff. Anything else
Yeah.
you want to touch on Mon there?
No, she's just she's great. I'd really, speaking of triggering, I get triggered a lot by the way she pronounces certain words.
Hmm.
Um just the way some British people pronounce schedule.
Schedule.
Schedule. Schedule. Schedule.
I interact with a fair number of British people at my work, and yeah, it's a thing. Like, they say schedule. I kind of
Yeah.
like it.
Do you tell them they're stupid?
No, because I like the way they say schedule. Schedule. I don't know.
Schedule.
Schedule.
I was just shot like this.
Yeah, I like it. Works for me.
No. But Mon is a great character, and yeah, she is a very good politician. Yeah, man, I can't wait to. I can't wait to see more Luthen.
Yeah, because Tay says like, that's a dangerous game, Bond, and like we're just talking about embezzling money, basically. He's like, from a banker's perspective. She's like, I've played worse, right? Because on the flip side, from the Luthen conversation, where she's like kind of wrecked a little bit by what she actually committed. By the
Mhm.
time, like, I suppose evening comes around, she's like, you know what? In this context, I am a badass rebel. Y'all are some just like
Yeah,
soft-handed cowards. Like, I'm
yeah,
the real deal here, and I'm having fun having like 4 layers removed now from like what's happening here, the real me.
yeah. And then it's also like maybe it sunk in just like how awesome, like what happened was. Like
Yeah.
that was legit heist, and it legit worked. And at maybe after the shock wore off, she's like, "Oh dang, I was part of that, kinda."
I mean, it's kind of a little bit like Cassian's duality, where he's just in it for the money so he can escape, but in the thick of it, he can't not do the right thing. Like, that's his duality. Where her duality is, she's out to do the right thing because it's like, we must topple the empire. Right.
Mhm.
That's the right thing to do. But when she's like, part of that is going to be the opposite of what she does as a senator, not cause like harm and like
Yeah.
suffering throughout the galaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah, happens. Speaking of harm and suffering, we can shift to the people who love to directly cause it, and that would be the ISB.
Yeah. Your homie.
Old Daedra and Partagas. I
Yeah.
really like him. That actor I've seen other places, but like, he's good. I like him.
Gonna look
Um,
and see what else he's in.
he he just does a really good like director level, and then she's just a great like up and coming. I forget what she says to Cyril. She is a um because she says exactly what she is in like the ranking.
Oh, right. Yeah, I remember that, but I don't actually remember what she what she said. But I
Right.
know what you're talking about.
But yeah, so we're back to the ISB, and obviously they're reeling because this is a big deal. And I have a feeling Partagaz,
Dude,
and I don't.
hold on.
Yeah,
Partagas,
yeah,
that dude was Qyburn in Game of Thrones,
yes, yes,
which
sir.
I just thought was wild.
That checks out because we just watched Game of Thrones last year. So he would
Yeah.
be semi fresh on our brains, but he just does such a good director of all these agents, and her just like her energy for being like an up and comer and like really kind of making a play for things. um but yeah, obviously they're clamping down on the whole all these like outlying regions, and basically they are all of a sudden very mobilized, the ISB, and they're kind of collecting their notes and they're compiling the data from this new optic that Daedra has come up with, that in fact this isn't just random descent from different parts of where they put their foot down. Like, this is organized and planned. These are all very specific parts that are being stolen. They're found in other parts of the galaxy. Clearly, something organized is going on here. So, kind of through all that, she has shifted the optics of what the ISB is now caring about. And they really seem to be reviewing all the data that they have that they previously thought was uncorrelated, and they're really kind of starting to piece together a story here where it's like, well, what if it was coordinated? And that comes up in the meeting, and these are decent like meetings scenes because you have Partagaz, who's very open, right? He likes his people to do the talking. And even I forget exactly which scene it was, but he even ended it with like, I'm glad we can have this like, these open-minded discussions where we get to share ideas.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, dude. Their conversations are really cool. It's it's almost like mentorship, where he's like kind of taking her under his wing a little bit.
Well, and even like when he's like, watch your back, right?
Mhm.
Because he's like, you're doing the right thing, but watch your back, because you're going to piss off these little pissy lieutenants and supervisors that you're going to be stepping on their toes, and they're going to do some dirty stuff probably. But
Mhm.
good job. But really, I mean, what he is he's a really good leader in that he isn't like micromanaging these people. He sits there in the meetings, listens to everyone, and then is like, here's what we're going to do. Let's go do it. Um, but like he lets them own their stuff. Like
Yeah.
those two dudes at the end of the one meeting, he was like, all right, here's what we're doing. And they're just sitting there like staring at. He's like, today, like, let's
Yeah.
go. Like, I
Yeah.
shouldn't need to sit here and tell you when you're dismissed. Like, I said the thing, go do the thing.
Mhm.
Be a little bit more independent. And that echoes like earlier episodes where he was saying like, what if more of us were like Daedra and actually thought outside the box here and weren't just pushing paper around, checking boxes.
Right.
And all of a sudden, like, they turn into this I can't even say that word. More of like an FBI where they're actively investigating things that are happening versus just reviewing data and saying,
Yeah.
this is whatever, little adjustment here, a little tweak here.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting shift in where the ISB, and we get a little bit on the political side where they're pushing through new orders.
What's up, Chaos? Thanks for hanging out, man.
Oh hell
Appreciate
yeah!
you stopping by. Yeah, we were talking last week on like what real life like government organization the ISB would be. And you mentioned the FBI. And that does, I mean, investigative, obviously. But this 3-episode arc had me feeling a little like CIA.
Right. And I think that's where they yeah, that's a good point, because a big chunk of the FBI is a lot of paperwork and like just following up and just like keeping tabs on things.
Mm-hmm.
And this is that shift where they become way more active, way more
Yeah.
projective of their power, and they get more power in these episodes, because those
Yeah.
are some of the senator scenes where Mon is talking, where she's like, this is gonna give the ISB like unchecked power. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we don't care. No, okay, we don't care. Awesome. Great. Good talk, guys. Awesome republic we have here. Sorry, empire.
Yeah.
Um so yeah. But in this first scene, though, in this first meeting at the ISB, this is more of Daedra like kind of proving herself and like proving out the whole, like, she's like, see,
Yeah. It's all about the star path still, right?
right.
In
And she's still,
in
yeah,
this section.
yep. And this is where she's still going back and forth with Belvin and or Blevin, and Pargaz is like, well, clearly this is an annoyance for you, so she's gonna get Ferrex, that
Mhm.
system. And he's like, prove your case, Daedra. You now have free reign over that area.
Yeah.
And she's got good assistants too. Like, she's got
Dude, her
like,
assistant rules.
yeah. And even
Is
in the,
he?
yeah,
Is it this episode where she's like, or maybe no,
9,
that's the next one,
yeah,
or the last one of those. But
where
yeah,
he
when
steps
he,
up and drops some
yeah,
like
yeah,
facts on the situation.
yeah,
That was always good. But yeah, it's all about like pattern recognition and just like kind of piecing it all together. So always good to see what the ISB is going on. But I also like the ISB focus, because it kind of I like it because they are related to in Rogue One, the main director, Krennic.
Hmm.
Krennic was like, with the white coat, right? It's kind of
Mhm.
like ISB, but also like the scientific, like he was a little bridge there. Like, he
Yeah,
operated in both spaces. And then it's a lot of Bad Batch stuff too, because the Bad Batch deals with the ISB and also the rebels. What's his face? The main guy who turns eventually. Like,
oh yeah.
he was an agent. He was
I
an ISB agent.
always forget that dude's name, but I loved him. He's a great character.
Yeah. So it's just cool to see this like upper level of the ISB, who
Yeah,
eventually, like you said, go from FBI to more CIA, and maybe more, if you want to tie it to like what the Empire is based on, like the Nazis, like more of when they went from just like this intelligence agency to the SS. And that's really kind of, this is where we kind of see that transformation a little bit.
yeah, and who else got to meet the ISB in this episode? Our good friend who now works for the IBS, not the ISB, the Imperial Bureau of Standards.
Yes.
Our good friend Mr. Serial.
Cyril.
Yeah. Dude, his mom
So
could be Mon Mothma's husband's mom. Like, the
oh
level of
yeah.
turdness between, like, they have to be related.
What if, yeah, like a really, like a cousin, and or like a really big like sibling gap in age, where 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
I would say he's in his
Maybe she's just a big smoker. I don't know.
yeah,
I mean, she definitely sounds like it.
Mon and her husband are at least like, I would say in their 50s, 40s, right? And
Yeah.
then so that would put like Cyril's mom like 60s, 70s. So they're,
Yeah.
they're definitely siblings. I
What a
can get
turd. Can't stand that lady.
giant turd. She's the worst.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I love how Cyril is just like
he also sucks.
so dejected and lifeless and like soulless. He
Eating
hates
his cereal,
everything.
just eating his like blueberry cereal or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I wish I knew the flavor of that. They need to drop just like one word to like tell me what the flavor is of the cereal that Cyril is eating.
Cyril cereal.
That has to be like intentional, that Cyril is eating cereal all the time.
Yeah, I love
That's
it.
not just a coincidence. Like, they're being funny.
Yeah, I love it. It's great.
But yeah, he's got a desk job. It sucks. He hates it. He's kind of get that record like cleaned up too.
Um,
But he resents life
yeah,
completely.
but his world is rocked in this episode.
Yeah, because they roll up and they're like, "Come with us," because now that she has control of Ferrex, she has complete authority to review the situation there. So she has all the files. She calls him in and is like, "So what are you leaving out of this report?" He's like, "I don't know. I haven't seen the report." She's like, "You signed it." He's like, "So like you guys suck too."
Yeah,
So I thought that was cool, and she's like, "Okay,
yeah,
read this. I'll be back, and then tell me."
yeah,
And it sucks for him because he was so down and out and thought that life was over. And then we see this in this episode arc where he gets this, like, he's got an in, right? Like he knows a supervisor at the
yeah,
ISB, like his apparent dream job, right?
yeah.
So
Dude, it's so funny, and it doesn't happen in this episode. I think it happens in the last episode, but like,
yeah,
I can't tell what he's more excited about, like, because he's like borderline obsessed with obviously the ISB, but I think also
Andor and
Dedra.
Daedra.
Yeah,
Well, I think he's just so down and out and depressed, and like this giant, like, glowing opportunity that fixes probably not fixes, but like can potentially serve every missing part of his life. The job he wants, a
yeah,
woman that he's like oddly attracted to because she is like as psycho about Andor as he is, and her job, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's like it's this weird like vortex of really sad down and out man, and it's like everything's just like right there, the woman, the job, the target,
yeah,
the purpose.
yeah.
Yeah, that
Right.
conversation is really interesting because I'm like, when they wrote this, like, are they intentionally making him like, because I forget where that all plays out anyways, but like dude's like totally like, she's right, like, bro, like, back off,
Yeah,
I will
you're
end
like
your life.
literally stalking me.
Yeah, she's like, If you've been stalking me," he's like, I kind
Yes.
of just come out here and just watch you go in the work. It's like, what, dude?
It's like that is definitely a yes.
And and she's just saying, she's like, in her head, she's like, he's saying all this to an ISB supervisor. It is my job to like annihilate people like you.
Yeah, but part of me like, okay, I get that. I get how like super weird that is. But also, like, how could you not look at him and be like, we could use some of your like psychoticness on the ISB.
I think they're not quite there yet. Um, as an
I
organization.
mean, Dedra's being a little Blevin like when it comes to Cyril, you know?
Yeah, yeah. She seems to open her eyes to see what's in front of her.
Yeah, come
The
on.
most dedicated man she will ever meet
Yeah.
to her for
Yeah.
eternity.
To both. to,
Dude,
to her and the Empire.
yeah. Like, yeah, that's a weird. They got a weird thing going on. I remember being really like irked by that whole interaction the first time I watched the show, and I was like, I'm just gonna ignore that. I'm not sure why
This
that's
makes
needed.
me feel icky.
Well, it's just like, why do we need to further, like you said in the first chapter, it's like you felt embarrassed for him. It's
Oh
just
yeah,
like, why do
more
we
secondhand embarrassment.
why are we just layering on the secondhand embarrassment on Cyril? Like this poor dude. Like it sucks though because you feel like that, but then you're like, but this dude is a complete just like shill for the Empire at the same time. Like this guy is like as
Yeah.
lost as anyone. Um, yeah, it's like a puppy that really just wants to like kill you in your sleep. It's
But
completely
like doesn't
deceptive,
have any teeth.
but doesn't have
So
any
it
teeth.
can't.
Yeah, Cyril is. Yeah, he is an interesting character. That's for sure.
Hmm.
And maybe they just want to highlight like just how sick and deranged like the inner workings of the Empire eventually become because like creeps like him like are just lurking about as the ISB have, and be like, you know what, we need more psychopaths,
Yeah.
dedicated to the cause.
Yeah, dude. Let's get some stuff done.
Yeah. And the last bit in this episode is punchline. Well, Vel meets up with Luthen's, don't know what to call her yet,
Yeah.
assistant that is like kind of in charge equally.
Yeah. I'm gonna find out what her name is.
But Luthen's like, yeah, we kind of gotta kill Andor, loose end. Because he even has that conversation where he's like, I let him on the ship. He's, like he let him on like the ship. Like that's probably a huge no. But she was like, you were desperate to get Aldani done. It happens.
She's like, I get it.
But at the end of the day, he's like, they're both like, yeah, loose end. Let's kill him.
Yeah. Character's name is Clea, by the way.
Yeah.
Clea.
And I like Clea because she goes from, because you don't even recognize her when she meets Vel, because she looks like an assassin.
Yeah. Set up. Working around town.
Yeah, like she looks like a ninja.
The new Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, like definitely totally murders people. And she's
also
kind of
like, if you're trying to be inconspicuous, like, why would you move around like that? Because like, how can you not see that and be like, dude, she's either like real life cosplaying as Assassin's Creed, or she is legitimately an assassin.
Well, now you're totally like just calling into question all of Assassin's Creed. I am going to sneakily creep through this crowd. Totally don't look
like the world's biggest hood on.
Missing a finger. Just pushing people out of the way, and then stabbed someone, then just disappeared again.
Yeah.
We're looking for a where's a yeah, it's a thing. But yeah. So Cassian, there's a hit out on him. But joke's on them. Actually, as we get into the next episode here, Narkina 5, the whole subplot here, Cassian in this arc is the ISB's looking for Cassian, Luthen and crew are looking for Cassian. Joke's on everyone. Cassian is in apparently the safest place he could be from all these people. So
yeah, dude.
Yeah,
just
Narkina
chilling
5.
in the Miami of Star Wars, dude. He's just Keith Girgo, aka Cassian Andor.
Yeah, he goes, which for me reminds me of like Grief Karga, which is the main dude on Mando's like now planet in there. So
also rest in peace, Carl Weathers.
Yeah, Carl Weathers. Rip. Yeah, and then he used Clem as his Aldani. Like, so I don't know where he's getting the Keef. The Keef.
I don't know.
He's just making up names.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was at the end of the prior episode, because that's how the first episode here announcement ends, is like he's at the beach. Or is it this one open with it? I already forgot.
Yeah, at the end of episode 7, he's waking up, I guess, from a probably interesting night, and
that's at the end of 7 that happens.
Yeah, he like goes to take a stroll down to the store or whatever, like gets caught up in people running away from the Empire.
Legit people run away from some shore
beach troopers.
And he's just like sketched out by it. I don't know why. He should have just sat down.
Dude, oh my gosh. This is the Cassian Andor arc where he can only say like one sentence in an episode. And this one, he's like, I'm just a tourist.
Yeah.
He's like, every 5 seconds, he's like, what do you mean? I'm just a tourist.
Yeah. It's weird. I get why he's running. I also get why he does. Like, I don't get why he just doesn't not run.
Right. I mean, like, he knows that he's probably wanted, but like, you could very clearly see they're chasing like
other
people that are running away from them.
Yeah.
Like,
And
just
then he
sit
kind of
down.
gets, granted, if he gets out of the situation and he is rolling by just a trooper that's standing there that wasn't pursuing, and he's just like, hey, you. I guess he's like, who, me? It's like, he's being very suspicious. I get it,
Yeah.
but I don't get it. He could have played that all much better.
Yeah. And old droid boy over there
K2
uh,
unit.
picks him up and
Like,
he
hold
gets
this one
detained.
here for me. Make sure he doesn't go anywhere. Aye, and just tosses the other two he's carrying down.
Yeah, and just pins him up against the wall.
Yeah.
But yeah, he gets detained, gets arrested, and because one of the ramifications from Aldani and all this, the way the Empire is going to crack down, is start locking people up and for ridiculously long sentences. So he's sentenced to 6 years.
The dude before him got like months. And then she's like, tough go. Policy just changed. 6 years, sir. He's like, what?
He's like, what? I'm just a tourist.
He was totally ready to do like 6 months. But the years thing, just like,
Yeah.
Um
So he's getting on a ship, going to prison.
Yep. Yeah, in Narkina 5, and they're like, I don't know what they're like when they're marching them out onto the little like forum, and there's just like 3 ships, and he just like checks their name, and was dude just the roulette of Narkina 5, wherever the other 2 shit like did. I don't know how they, maybe because he was like able-bodied and able to work, they're like good Narkina 5 fodder.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, Narkina 5 is cool. So jumps off to a new planet, doesn't know where he's at. We have this.
Is the planet Narkina 5 or is that the prison name?
Narkina 5 sounds like a planet name, but I think it's the prison. Because I feel like they wouldn't be giving away the planet name. We'll find out in the next 3 episodes, because when he gets out, but and he's actually on the planet, they might say. But I feel like they're not going to like let them know what planet they're going to, because we got these. There's like 4 or 5 of these like prisons that are floating on the water. They have these cool like vortexes like draining around.
So
them.
sick looking.
Yeah, and the middles are hollow. Such cool designs, and I love. I was wondering this in the prison scenes where they're in the hallways between shifts. And I was like, why do they need windows there? Like, wouldn't it be better for the Empire just to have no windows on these people tubes as they ship them around places? That's how I would do it. I'd be like, don't give them windows. Don't let them know anything about the world they're in. I would be good at the ISB, apparently.
Yeah, you're just it's just Empire material.
I show up to like Narkina 5 and be like, why are there windows? Put some shades on these things. Like, we don't need these here. But yeah, so yeah, Narkina 5, very cool concept. They have to take their shoes off on the transport. They never get their shoes back. We get these dorks in these orange boots rolling up, and like they're all like, what is happening? And the place is just white and sterile, and I'm kind of like, Severance? Like,
where's Milkshake?
Where's Milkshake? Jake. I mean, kind of. But yeah, this prison is cool, and they get right to the point. Like they take him in. Cassian, though, I love how he plays off like he's constantly like looking for the angle, and like even when he's in the little like control room, he's like peeping around the corner, and they're like about to smack him because they're like, we know what you're doing, dude. Like just chill, just on program. And he's counting guards, but we get down into the shop and we meet Gollum, or Andy Serkis. And
yeah, dude, I love the verbiage they use in the prison, the on program thing. Love it. It's great.
Yeah, and it's an interesting concept because everything's 7, so 7 people to a table. There's 7 tables. There's 7 levels. Like everything's sevens in
Yeah.
this place.
It's very holy.
And so like there's 49 people on a crew, and there's 2 shifts, and Andy Serkis is in charge of the crew, and they let him be in charge of them because we don't have guards intermingled with the people, because the prison is completely like self-sufficient in that the guards don't interact with the inmates at all once they're down on the floor, because they go from the workroom through the people tube to where they sleep,
Mhm.
rinse and repeat. The floors are electromagnetic. That's why they don't wear shoes, because they can just zap them. I don't know how they must be able to like zap certain sections of the floor, because that's how they hit like one table, but the other tables are good.
Yeah, so in the workroom, I think only you know what? That's a great question. Unless maybe the whole floor is, but
I think there's
when
panels, so
the
it's
yeah,
kind of
when the
like
least
DDR.
productive table, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. When the least productive table gets shocked in a later episode, they put them in the center. So
Oh, really?
maybe yeah, so maybe there's like the whole floor
Mm.
is pads or whatever for what I can't speak right now. But then there's a section in the middle that they can like separately control because they do put them in the middle and like make everyone watch. Just really messed up. But yeah, I do like it. The prison is a super cool. Well, that sounds really weird, but it's like a really good idea. I mean, honestly, if you're thinking about it, like it's just free labor. They're making parts, and they are all aware of their sentence, and good behavior and hard work earns time off your sentence.
Yeah, because there's a facade there. Because even when they go to their dormitory, unlimited
Hmm.
food, they get their own spacious area. Because I was even sitting there like, man, that's better than an airplane. Like an airplane is worse than that. Like at least you get this whole unit that you can get move around in at night and get a bed, unlimited
Yeah,
goop through the food tubes. So like yeah, and your sentence is right there. So it's like this idea where it's like it's not that bad, and the people who have been there, they're like, I just gotta serve my time and I'll get out of here, and that's everyone's mindset, and that's kind of what the rest of the galaxy is like. It's a metaphor for that, because the rest of the galaxy is like, the Empire, it's horrible, but we're getting by. It ain't that
yeah,
bad, and that's kind of what these guys are doing.
right.
Um,
Which is what I was talking about, like why Luthen like has the thought process of like we need to force the Empire to like put the fist down, right?
yeah,
Because everyone's just like, yeah, it kind of sucks, but like whatever, like we're
yeah, and someone
managing.
Yeah, and someone says it too, where it's like you don't really recognize the oppression as it's like starting and happening until it's like too late. And
Hmm.
Luthen's just trying to jumpstart to the point. It's like, yeah, it's too late, everyone. So yeah,
Yeah.
because otherwise, like up until this point, like we still, and this is, this takes us back to Mon. We still see Senate hearings. Mon is still giving it her best effort, but like the place is empty, and who is there is just like for the Empire, and like they're all completely bought and sold out too. Um, so we see how like the transition here has still been slow. The Empire isn't just like, yeah, just throw it all out. It's garbage,
Hmm.
anyways. Even the ISB, like it's not until this episode where we start to get the inkling of what they're doing on Ferrex, where the dude who owns the shop where the radio was, and what happens to Bix, and we get that whole interaction. So it's just
Ruh-roh.
like even the Empire at this point is starting to like where they're eventually going anyways, but
Hmm.
Luthen is pushing everyone's agenda forward to
Right.
get things going, because we don't want the Empire to slowly just like bleed into every corner of the galaxy. Like there's
Yeah.
still hope. Um,
Yeah. So you mentioned Andy Serkis. Love his character Kino.
very good.
Super awesome. He's like, yeah, you said he's the supervisor of 5-2D, which is what, floor 5, or no, unit 5, floor 2. D is for daytime or something. I don't know. He says goes through his like introduction speech a couple times this episode. Um, yeah, just like a go with the program guy. Like doesn't want to ruffle feathers because he is getting closer and closer to, paying off, or, serving his time and getting out. So, cool character. Really like him. And Andy Serkis is amazing in this show. He's so good.
He's so animated.
Yeah.
And there's a cool, so like this one's Narkina 5. The next episode is titled Nobody's Listening. And during Mon's speech here that she's given at the Senate floor hearing, her aide comes up to her and is like, they're not listening, right? So I like that there's a little play forward on that, because the next episode plays on that more about no one's listening, because we get that in the prison, because in episode 9, not to jump forward too much, but it starts with Kino, Andy Serkis basically going, no one's listening, and then like Andor flips that same line on him by the end of the episode, or like when he's in
Andor says it a lot of times throughout the episode, because much like I'm just a tourist.
Yeah.
9, it's nobody's listening.
No one's listening. So yeah, but that was just like fun little Mon speech. No one's listening at the Senate hearing.
Yeah, dude, poor Mon. Like every time she talks, everyone's just like shutting their light off, walking off their little disc thing.
Right. But like, how much of that do you think is her putting on that front? Like, she's just maintaining this image of like this annoying senator that thinks she's gonna, through legislation, get things fixed, right?
Mm-hmm.
When that's entirely not what she's doing. So like, at first I'm like, oh, that's just painful, poor Mon. Like, she's trying. Maybe she's not even trying. She's really just putting on the front still that she is this little senator that's just pretty harmless. Still going to hearings, still making speeches that no one cares about.
Doing what was that guy's name? Cory Booker?
Oh yeah, the 24-hour record-breaking 24-hour. Something else, I mean,
a lot of Adderall or something.
Yeah, it's like, ooh, buddy.
Man,
talking straight.
Yeah, that's Mon in these episodes.
Yeah. ISB Daedra. This is where we get like Bix getting brought into the hotel. They kind of just spot her out in the crowd, because we come to find out that the dude with the shop who owned the radio, they found him, interrogated him. They apparently, like, the way she talks about it later to Bix is like, they were able to find that radio. Like, they knew there was a radio there, and then they interrogated him, and he spilled the beans on everything, because he's like, yep, Bix, she's your gal. 6 times she's met with Axis. And I like how he's named Axis, because the Empire is supposed to be the Nazis, and they were the axis of evil, and they've nicknamed the freedom fighter Axis because he's the middle of the wheel for this rebellion out there, this network. Little things like that. But yeah, she's basically trying to get the Luthen, because she was like, we know Andor's out there doing his thing, but like, who's this dude?
I love how they think that, but he's literally in prison.
Yes, right. And we get Vel's gal from the heist.
I couldn't remember her name in the first chapter. Cinta.
Yeah, Cinta. She's staking out Mom's house, waiting for Cassian to come back. The ISB is also staking out Mom's house, where Daedra, I like this. She's like, because the boss is like, have you interrogated her yet? She's like, she's old, frail. She's not going anywhere. Plus, that's the reason Cassian came back in the first place. So we're just going to wait for him to come back again.
Yeah.
But again, like you said, like, jokes on everyone in this arc, because Cassian's in an Imperial prison under a fake name.
Yeah.
Y'all some dum-dums.
You guys let some doofus beach trooper like accidentally arrest like one of the most wanted people in the galaxy right now.
Yeah.
I love the irony in it.
Well, yeah, but it's just
Stormtrooper actually did something good for once, and no one noticed it.
No one notices. He didn't miss. He actually hit it. Like, he hit it
and
perfectly.
It's even funnier because like he wasn't even trying, and he hit.
Yeah, he's actually being like a douche, and it's just like, hey, you random person that's walking a little too quickly. Where are you going in such a hurry? You part
Yeah,
of the rabble that we're chasing down right now?
I love it. It's
I'm
great.
just a tourist. Yeah, that's what they
Nobody's
all say.
listening.
That's what they all say. Um, Funny things like that. But yeah, so eh, that's all interesting because Bix gets interrogated by some new interrogation techniques that they've come up with as the Empire. So it's like they have been doing these things, and now they just got all these tools in their toolkit. They're like, yeah, let's try this
CIA,
out.
straight up
CIA.
CIA.
Really quickly, they make some new friends in different departments. But I completely forgot that they went into such detail, that doctor explaining what it was. I completely forgot this, and I'm like, this is the most
It
like
is so
dark
messed
shit
up.
I've ever heard in Star Wars because I mean,
Yeah,
it combines a lot of different things that the Empire does. And that's what I think I forgot. It's like three layers of just like sick because first off, they went to this planet. The natives were problematic, so they just wiped them all out. But
yeah.
while they're wiping them out, they made this very unique like sound as they
They
died.
had to. So they had to capture the audio as like confirmation that they were doing what they were supposed to be doing. And
Right.
in that, they discovered that like the people that were responsible for capturing that audio, listening to it, drove them absolutely mad. And they're like, "Oh, I see."
Right.
The light bulb goes off, and they're like, "I
So the
think I have
sound that
an
they make when
idea."
they're dying and suffering is horrible. Take it a step further, it actually turns out the children are you even have a more effective and like mind melting version of this cry that they have since honed in and remixed for your listening pleasure.
Yeah, that was brutal.
And this dude is so proud of like this whole story too. And he's like, "Oh, I'm just rambling at this point to stay on
Here,
topic."
check it out.
Here.
But hey, as someone who does music stuff,
Yeah.
okay, I can appreciate getting a solid mix, okay?
Okay.
So I understand the excitement. I get it. I would be excited to show that off too. Not that, but you know what I mean.
Ugh. But yeah, I was listening to this and I'm like, maybe I didn't pay attention the first time and I was on my phone, but I'm like sitting there and I'm like,
No, I
this
think
is
your mind just tried to remove like a very traumatic thing that you heard.
I was like, without saying anything directly, this guy is like describing the most like ridiculous, like insane thing
Yeah.
without saying it. But like the story he's telling is absolutely brutal and horrific.
Yeah.
Um, I was like, wow, way to go, Andor. Yet again, you are being very mature. Um,
Yeah. Peak Star Wars.
Peak
Telling you.
Star Wars. Um, another nice interaction between Daedra and Partagaz, though, also is she's doubling down where she's like, these thefts aren't random;
Mhm.
it's a rebellion forming. So like she keeps like just taking her as she gathers more evidence, she takes her theory just like one step further for
Mhm.
Partagaz, and she's learning and understanding. She's like, I need to be measured in my release of information because I can't look
Mhm.
like a complete wacko and like lose these idiots.
Yeah.
Um, but he's like, he nods and he's just kind of like, keep digging, like keep going. You're on the right track.
Yeah.
Um, they're still
Is
focused on
this
Andor, who is right under their noses, and they're trying to figure out who Luthen is.
Yeah, so is this the episode where Cyril like that whole stalking interaction
It's the
happens?
last episode,
Oh, okay.
9. We're almost done
9.
with 8.
9.
Because Luthen goes and visits Saw
Oh yeah.
because we see the Fondor taken off, and
My
I'm
dude.
like, is it time? I'm like, it's not time yet. That's not till later. Um, and he goes and visits Saw, and Saw rose with that same like dude that's in every Saw Gerrera like setup scene. I love that he's just been there the whole time. dude's brutal. He's got to be real badass.
Also, Forrest Whitaker plays such an amazing unhinged man, and the eye totally helps. Like,
yeah, and this echoes like Luthen's conversation with Mon, because even they had that brief at the beginning. Like, was that you? It was totally you. What are you talking about? It wasn't me, but I bet it was me. Saw and Luthen do the same thing where
bet it was me.
Luthen's like, you? Saw's like, nah, you. And then like Luthen's trying to convince Saw that he thinks it's him. And he's like, that's what I would do if I did it. And they're doing this like really interesting, like, who did it? Wasn't me, but it was totally me kind of vibe.
Yeah.
But Saw basically knows Luthen did it. Luthen knows he did it. And it's all right out there. Luthen's trying to sell Saw, not sell. He's trying to give him some really cool equipment, but he wants Saw in on like his plans. And Saw's like, yeah, I'm not really in it like you are. And this is always an interesting thing about Saw that I think we have to remember is like Saw is kind of like the OG rebel, but the thing is like Saw's been doing this for so long. He's kind of he's not really there to sign up for this like galaxy-wide rebellion that's like very driven by ideology. He's like, I really just hate separatists. I really just hate the Empire, and I just look out for my people. He's kind of like Robin Hood.
He like hates everyone.
Yeah, except his boy out there, like his people. I like how they have these like X-wings before X-wings are totally a thing. It's a lot of cool nods in this scene.
Yeah. But like
no respirator either. Like he doesn't, his COPD isn't like deep entrenched yet.
Yeah. But Luthen's trying to get Saw to send some pilots to, what's the guy's name? Krigor something? Is that it?
Sounds right.
But like another like rebel band is planning something, and Luthen is trying to get Saw to send out some people to go like support this Krigor guy. I'm pretty sure it's Krigor. But Saul is not having it.
No.
And Luthen's like, I'll give you all this cool stuff. And he's like, yeah, I don't care.
Well,
because I hate everyone.
The veteran that Saw is, unlike Mon, he knows Luthen's game. And like Saw's crazy, but he's crazy and like we just like do some hit and runs, some like grab and dashes, like nothing crazy. Crazy, but we're not signing up for your problems, Luthen. Like what you're doing, those are some big problems. Because Saw just likes a fight. He's from the old days when they fought separatists and everyone else. He's just
telling you, it's one of the coolest character arcs across an IP. The descent of Saw Gerrera.
It's a long one. It's all because his sister got killed by the separatists.
Yeah. Rip.
He's one of the OG, like, separatists are bad. And he's like, crap, Republic's bad too.
Yeah.
He's like, everyone's bad.
And they killed my sister.
They killed my sister.
And then somewhere along the way, he took a shot to the eye. Now he's got crazy eye.
That's right. So episode 9, Nobody's Listening. This is where we get a lot more Narkina 5 action. And I like this scene, or this whole episode with Narkina 5, because Cassian has now moved past like just like observing what's going on, and he's like actively counting guards and already working with other inmates, because one dude who's by the bathroom station, he goes
like Big Lots Boyega.
Big Lots Boy. Cassian's like going to the bathroom for bathroom breaks, and he's just like got this file somehow, and he's trying to cut this wiring tube from the panel. Is also the panel that he knocks off is like, be the shit, but I don't think anyone goes down there enough to like care that would notice.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you just walk into that room, you'll be like, "Wow, someone is getting into this panel."
Someone's
Like,
definitely tampering with the wall here. I wonder what's going on. But yeah, and Cassian's also like he's kind of taking a little bit of charge of like the table too, because we got the old guy who's struggling. His hand,
mhm,
like he's literally stroking out, and he's kind of playing the table one to make sure they're not getting like zapped and they're performing well and looking good, but also to buy able so he can dip off to go work his bathroom operation. Which I wonder like is he just like, oh man, the goop tube man really hits me rough. I gotta take like a break every hour to
yeah, ISB. I got some IBS over here.
yeah. And they're like, man, you've been gone for like 20 minutes. It's rough.
I would not go back there.
The liquid diet. Just saying, agreeing with me. And it really just kind of like we'll just talk about the entire like Narkina thing all the way through to the end because old
Yeah.
man, they're having this drama because we have the one person on the
Mhm,
team who signs across the way. This is why we shouldn't have windows to the dude
right.
over here. And basically, like, there's rumors that move around the prison. There's 7 levels, 7 rooms. Like, it's a lot going on,
Mhm.
but rumors get around. And, um, initially, um, what's his name? Kino? I want to say call it Kino.
Kino. Yeah,
You know, he's initially very defensive about it. He's like, it takes weeks for like any information
yeah.
to
I
get out.
love that.
He's like, what words are you getting through the windows right now? Like, like nothing's happening.
Yeah. By
But
the time it
eventually,
gets to us, like it doesn't even matter anymore.
yeah, it's done. But it all kind of comes to a head when old man has a stroke, most literally, and is dying. And Kino and Cassian stay behind with him while everyone else
Mhm.
goes to bed and goes to work. They call down a doctor, a medic, who is also an inmate. I don't quite understand why the medic has to be an inmate. I don't know. They just don't care at all. They're just like, hey, is anyone a doctor around here? Cool.
Yeah.
We have
They
medical.
they take self-sufficiency to like a whole new level.
Yeah,
Literally, the prisoners run the prison.
yeah. Um, but they get some more information from this medic guy, and he kind of spills the beans. He's like, yeah, so they messed up. This dude who got let out because his term was over, his sentence was over, they just plugged him in on a different floor, and that got out. So then they just had to nuke the whole floor.
Yeah. Gee.
And they're like, what? So Kino kind of comes out of his daze and is like, oh, we're not getting out of here.
Yeah.
And this is preluded too with an earlier conversation where when Cassian first gets there, one of the inmates is like, the new order, the new like law that's going on. Like, have you heard anything about it? And they doubled all our sentence. He's like, dude, I have no idea. And that's when the prisoners are still trying to piece together, like, I think they're feeding us crap. Like, none of this is
Yeah.
real. Because this
I
dude doesn't
also
even
love,
know.
I love like, that whole conversation. All the prisoners in his little dorm are like, "Yeah, can you believe those guys on Aldani? They go do this thing, and they just total. We're gonna be in here forever thanks to those guys." And Andor's like, "Yeah, what a bunch of jerks."
Who would do something
Can
like that?
can you believe that?
But again, his out is he's just there to make money. He wasn't signed up for the ideological thing. Like Cassian's MO is
Yeah,
like, who cares? Like, that's not my problem. That's not
right.
my problem. But it is your problem, Cassian. It's why you're here, probably. So yeah, that was all very depressing too, because we're talking about just like there's like, yeah, we're just gonna terminate this whole floor of inmates because we accidentally returned one we were supposed to let go back into there. Just because.
Yeah, so like the whole time that we're on Narkina 5 so far, like you said, Cassian's like snooping, sneaking, like scouting, preparing, and while doing that, talking to Kino about it and trying to get him to like, sorry, hiccups. Trying to get Kino to give Cassian some information, right? He's like keeps asking him like how many guards are on duty or different things. And
Shut up.
Kino just shuts it down every time. He's like, dude, just shut up, get on program, like get with the program. Let's just do our work and get out of here. And so what's really important about this news is Kino, like you said, he like wakes up to the reality of the situation. And as they're walking out, Cassian's like, so how many guards are on duty on a
12.
floor? And he says, never more than 12. So like Kino's in now.
Oh yeah, it's going down. And that's what I was trying to remember too as I was watching. I'm like, we don't get the prison breakout this scene. I was like, what's the big thing that happens in this arc? Nothing. A lot of dialogue, a lot of great dialogue. um,
Yeah.
really a lot of good Mon scenes. Like speaking of Mon, her and Vel shows up to the house, and I think she's leaving the Senate, where she also just like got shut down again, another Senate hearing. And this one was yeah, she was like, this is a blank check for tyranny. Basically this is where like the ISB is getting unlocked to do their thing. So and then her driver's like, yeah, your cousin's at the house. She's like, huh? Because I think she knows Vel's working for Luthen. So like I think she's pretty privy to, she probably has something to do with Aldani, and it's just, she's surprised by it. But she gets home, and Vel brought a nice dress for her daughter, makes her daughter happy. Always the fun aunt that brings an awesome gift. Instantly better than mom sucks. Total vibe there. But we get a really a nice couple exchanges because they have dinner. We get to see a little bit more of Mon's horrible family dynamics. But we get this conversation between Vel and Mon kind of on her way out, and she's like, what does he have you doing? And like maybe you should just be like a rich girl for a while and just lay low. And Vel's like, yeah, I can't really do that. I guess I'll try. And Mon's like, I'm losing my family over this. And Vel's just like, we all are, sis, because it's tough. Yeah. And even her, she knows about Tay. She's like, that Tay? She's like, yeah, calm down. Like
Tay. Yeah, that was kind of an interesting interaction between those two, and I, for some reason, I totally forgot about that. I think that they're related.
Yeah. And I think even as like
this was a thing. Oh yeah.
And even as they're like hugging and leaving, like Vel's just like, your face is on this, like to Mon, because like you think I'm in danger, because like Mon's kind of telling her to be careful, and like Vel's like, you think no one knows who I am? Like,
yeah,
you're the girl pushing money around and is in front of everything all the time. So
right.
It's an interesting thing where Mon's like telling someone who's literally always in danger, doing dangerous things, to be careful. And Vel's is kind of like, but if anything goes slightly sideways, you're all of a sudden become like public enemy number one, Mon.
Yeah.
And your husband and daughter are not going down with you. They are totally gonna be like, she did what?
Yeah.
Imprison her.
Yeah. Off with her head. Waiting my whole life. No, just kidding. But speaking of Tay, bro, he's getting Mon into some sketchy situation here.
Yeah, so Mon, like, previous episodes asked him to like, hey, help me out, and he comes back. He's like, well, you're in a really rough spot. You need 400,000. She's like cash. Like if I had that, we wouldn't have this conversation. He's like, well, we need to make that money come back. So she's like, so I need a loan. He's like, yeah, I know this guy who she knows by name. And he's basically a mobster, kind of a gangster, a loan shark, some sort of thug, she calls him. So like this is now where we are. Mon is once again uncomfortable. She's like, crap. I asked the banker to fix a money problem with me, so he calls in a mobster. And Mobster naturally doesn't just want to do business. Mobster wants to meet at the house and make face. And she's like, that's not going to work.
Yeah. I love the reveal though, because he's just like, yeah, so you need 400K. So we would need someone who XYZ. And she's like, yeah, it sounds like you have someone in mind.
Yeah.
And he's
It's like, you told me to figure it out or
Yeah.
give you options. I can
Yeah.
push back and try to figure it out otherwise, but this is where they're talking about you're running out of time. Like, you are one audit away from smoked.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think, knowing where Mon ends up being obviously like the de facto leader of the rebellion in name, she's starting to see the inevitability of where this road is going to take her. And she simply is just trying to buy time any way she can, because she's like, well, I'm going to lose my family soon. I'm going to have to completely own this new life, and I'm not ready, but it's happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Things are now in motion that cannot be undone. Luthen's basically Gandalf. It's like, we've done things that we can't undo.
Yes. Yeah, and you kind of we already covered the ISB stuff.
Yeah, the only thing to like highlight there is, like you said earlier, when her assistant, like in the war room, and this is an interesting conversation because they find a pilot that is in connection to
basically, like, this was the other like CIA thing where I was like, they're definitely the CIA.
Yep.
Basically, they pull over a pilot for like the equivalent of his taillight being out, and then they
ID him,
interrogate, get some information, and then yeah, it turns out that like what her assistant brings up during the meeting, he's like, yeah, so we know Cassian was a part of the Aldani thing, and they're like, what's his name, the boss man
party guys.
Yeah, Pargas, like, how do you know this? Like, what's the connection? He's like, well, actually, last time Cassian was seen on Ferrix, he was clean shaven. And he's like, so? He's like, well, all the robbers on Aldani were clean shaven. And so, yeah, apparently if you shaved your beard, you're implicated in an imperial heist.
Well, I think it's all it's too random not to be random kind of thing.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think just like the coincidence of Andor, who seems to have an MO, not shaven, suddenly is shaven post an imperial infiltration imposter whole ordeal. And I think it's just like they're seeing the writing on the wall all of a sudden, because they are pulling finally all their information together with like a unified directive that potentially this is a network and it's organized and it's the biggest threat to everything under the sun. So we're going to do everything now that we can to stop it.
Right. And it was cool because like Party Guest is like asking Dedra to make the connection, and she's just kind of like drawing a blank, and then the assistant steps up and she just kind of like gives him the look like, my man, bro, thank you.
Yeah.
But essentially the CIA part that comes in is like,
oh yeah,
they're like, well, how do we take care of this pilot?
We don't want to tip them off by like arresting him or making a scene out of it. So
yeah,
let's just
kill him.
Let's just kill him, stage it, float the ship into a lane. Someone finds it, and it looks like an accident. Yeah. But they're ultimately going to lead us back to where we want them, to go.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I'm a fan of the United States of America, okay? So CIA, don't come CIA me. But that's totally a CIA move right there.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, especially now that we've
How
got
can
all
we
the
make this
JFK
problem
files.
disappear?
Yeah, when I was listening to Wendigoon break down the JFK files, it's like, oh yeah, all that stuff that like even during like the Cuban Missile Crisis, we were overtly like, we do not do that. 20, 30 years later,
While we're doing it.
yeah, just lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all very, very funny stuff, and I think there's some like Pargas is just like starting to see like
Yeah.
all the data, and he's just kind of like you're rewriting the map, Daedra. Like you're kind of. She's like, well, yeah, we've arbitrarily divided the galaxy up into these sectors that we are in charge of, but like they don't care about our sectors, and like these are these invisible walls that are making us not make these connections.
Mhm.
He's like, huh, interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll see what I can do about that.
let's see, that makes sense. You're onto
Yeah.
something. Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah.
Dig deeper. And this
Yeah.
dude, like, he doesn't care. Like, he's like, results, awesome. How we get
Yeah.
there, who cares?
You know who would love to meet Partagas? Cyril.
Cyril. I don't think Pargas would like to meet Cyril though. Like, I think it's a one way fandom.
No one wants to give this guy a shot. I mean, just give the guy a shot.
I mean, he tried to shoot a shot out in the yard, stalking her, and she's like, "Bro, like back off.
I will
I
literally.
will have you killed."
I will CIA you.
She's like, "The things I've done this week, we are advancing far faster than you think."
Yeah, man. So anything else in particular about this episode?
I don't think so. I mean, we've really hit on everything, and it's
Yeah.
just a ton of freaking dialogue scenes. Like,
Yeah.
that's where I kind of realized like this breaks the mold of the previous two chapters where they were like complete chapters of like a thing happening. Nothing actually happens in these
Mhm.
three other than a lot of talking.
Yeah, but
Oh,
it's
Cassian goes to prison. That's like the thing that happens here.
right. Which, if you heard that on like at face value, you're like, oh, okay, so the show's over.
Goes to prison.
Problem solved.
Nope.
They accomplished their goal.
No, yeah.
But no, I like it because while action wise, like movement wise, not much is happening, but like in each of the main arcs, you know, you kind of see the title of our episode play out, the weight of the rebellion and its impact on all the characters. Like, you know, last week was the cost, and sometimes you can conflate the two, right? Weight, cost kind of maybe could mean the same thing, but like,
well, they paid the price last arc. This is literally the weight of everything coming down.
Right, yeah. So like you have obviously the prison sentence, and in the prison, like you can just feel like the Empire's hammer coming down, and like all the prisoners like feel that weight of the repression and the results of what happened at Aldani, and like Mon is feeling the weight of her decisions, and like, you know, trying to like come to terms with, holy crap, like what did I get myself involved in? But then being like, oh wait, I kind of, it was actually kind of rad, like, okay, I'm all in. But then again, like, oh crap, I have to get myself involved in this whole other thing because I'm involved in this thing. Like, oh geez, what have I gotten myself into? And I mean, even like Cinta and Vel, you can see, you know, the weight on their relationship, and Kino finally figuring out that like his whole vision of life in prison was a sham. It's just, yeah, there's just so much weighing on like every character, and I love these themes that we've kind of talked about are so palpable through the 3-episode arcs. They do such a good job of like really thoroughly showing it across all of the characters. or at least that's how I see it.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
No, I think that's definitely accurate because it is this like building weight of everything that's happened. And like everything starts off as like Cassian's just like grabbing parts and trying to make a profit and trying to, get out of his little crummy life. Luthen's just trying to piece together some sort of, you know, he's trying to find how do we hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
Mon's trying to be, it all starts off so innocent in some sense compared to where they are at now. Like it starts off as like the Empire doesn't care. No one's paying attention to them. They're just kind of like poking, right, to see what can happen. And then it all starts to snowball
Yeah,
after Aldani. And
yeah,
one thing about like Cinta and Vel, you know, that whole crew acted all, so holy and like righteous against someone like Cassian who is just like a mercenary. But on the flip side, after Aldani, Vel and Cinta just work for Luthen, and they're literally assigned to go murder someone that they just did a job with. So it's like,
right.
aren't you guys now just like Luthen's lackeys and like hitmen?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so
Hit ladies, come
hit
on, Nick.
ladies, hit
Wow.
women.
No,
Like
don't do that.
yeah, don't do that. Um, hit men though. So it's the interesting dynamics of like, did they initially sign up for this cause and now they are just becoming these
Like
l-
pawns in it.
pawns,
Yeah.
lackeys of Luthen, um, things like that because they're caught in this web. Like, is Luthen just going to kill them if they don't do it? It's
Right.
is Luthen a psycho?
Yes.
If anyone were to like, if you were to take a ship into a shop and they were like, dude, what did you do to this thing? You are insane. He's like, hey, you just need a few laser swords and
Yeah,
an
you never know.
AI assistant on the ship. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just masterfully done, and it's cool that these themes, like, I didn't really realize them like the first watch through, but now going through it again, it's like you can very clearly see um each 3 episode arc kind of carrying that thread through it. And I wonder if that's maybe why they're doing the release the way that they're doing it for season 2 with the 4 3 episode chunks, right? um I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about that, but as we've been going through season 1 in this same fashion, I kind of really like it.
Yeah. And I was thinking about this too. I'm excited that we're doing it this way. We're going to be a little more pressed. Well, no, because we watch Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we record tonight,
Mhm.
which works out. They release on Tuesdays, but the adjustment there, and I think I put this in the Discord, and maybe I mentioned it last episode. The adjustment for this is new for a Star Wars series. They're going to come out 9 p.m. Eastern, or sorry, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. So it sounds like they're instead of midnight on Tuesday. So it sounds like they're giving us enough hours across the board to watch all of them Tuesday night.
Yeah.
So,
Let's be real, Nick. We're old, so we probably won't get through.
starting at 9, I mean, I start watching these around like 11 and I end around like 11:40 or
Dang.
whenever they're done. So I'll be able to
Jeez,
watch all of
bro.
them. I'm going to watch all of them twice by time Thursday comes around.
Dang, dude. You're crazy.
No, I won't do that. Maybe I will. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, it should be cool, and I'm very interested to see how each chapter, as we're calling them, kind of unfolds in season 2, and if they'll have like each chapter has like a very similar theme across the 3 episodes, or
Well, I hear we're getting time jumps between each
oh, okay.
chapter, which is, I think, important to note. I think the energy is going to be way more amped up in this season. So, like this season, I can definitely tell where's a lot of groundwork, right? A lot of
Yeah.
dialogue, a lot of careful, slow maneuvering over a a seamless. There's no time jumps, right, in this
Mhm.
season. So if we're going to start getting 3 episodes at a time dumped on us every week with time jumps in between, I think we're going to be hit. Like, we already know the characters and we already know what's
Yeah.
going on with everyone. So I think we're going to start getting very pivotal moments in the lead up to Rogue One, right? To the moment right before like Rogue One kicks off. So I think we're going to kind of get kind of like a Clone Wars feel where we're like, Clone Wars, a lot of stuff happens in here. Here are the the high points, and here are like our arcs. So I feel like it's gonna feel like a Clone Wars arc, 3 episode Clone Wars arc, but a live action movie at the same time. So pretty jazzed up about
You're basically getting 4 movies in a
and it's
month.
been what, 3 years. So
Yeah,
I feel like we're really gonna get a scaled up version of season 1, where we're somewhere between season 1 and Rogue One.
dude, and I'm so excited to watch season 2 and then immediately watch Rogue One.
And
I'm just like,
yeah.
anyways, yeah. So those are our thoughts on Chapter 3, The Weight of Rebellion, covering episodes 7, 8, and 9. Next week we'll be back here again at 9 p.m. Eastern on the Showboys Facebook, YouTube channel, and Twitch page. So go follow us and subscribe on those platforms, whichever one you may be seeing this on. We also release our episodes on all audio platforms, Spotify, Apple, all of those. Anywhere you can listen to podcasts, we're probably on it. So find us, follow us, leave a review. That helps us a lot. And yeah, leave a comment. Let us know what you thought of chapter 3, and just maybe if everyone just comments like peak Star Wars, everyone will understand. Like, there will be like the great unification of Star Wars fans. Be like, yes, you know what, you're right, this is peak Star Wars.
No, they
We
always
can
find
do
something.
good, Nick. We can
No.
do good.
No, there's no hope for that fan base.
But yeah, also, if you popped in, Chaos, I know you left a couple comments here during the live stream. Thank you for hanging out. Anyone else who popped in during the live stream, thanks for checking us out. You can always comment along. We'll throw your comments up on the screen and talk about them. Unless you just comment emojis, and we can't really talk about that. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. Make sure you subscribe. Check out patreon.com/showboyspodcast if you want to support the podcast. And we'll see you next week. Good evening. Go automatic outro.
Nope.